Well, Sláinte, how do you do, buckaroos, and how the heck are you? I'm going to try something with you. I want to do two cocktails, but they're basically the same. I just changed out the whiskey. I wanted to test something out to see how it worked. I had an idea for a cocktail I'm doing on the And the Chaser show tomorrow evening with a different simple syrup. But then I had an idea. It just hit me today, so that I wanted to try it to see if it worked. But I want to try it with two different whiskeys. Now, the truth is, I can only use one of them for the deal tomorrow because it has to be bourbon. One of the whiskeys I'm using isn't a bourbon, but because of the flavor profile of that whiskey, I thought it would work with this particular cocktail. So I wanted to give it a shot here. Here, try to adjust something real quick here. There we go. Now we're in business. So here's what I did. I had some espresso powder. So I use that to make sort of a, well, for lack of a better word, espresso simple syrup. I made the espresso, but then I melted a Demerara sugar cube in there. I've got a cinnamon stick for garnish, but also what I did though, as I was melting that sugar in the hot espresso, I was using the cinnamon stick as a stir stick. So I wanted just a little bit of cinnamon to impart in there. And what I've added also are cocoa bitters. Now they do make an Aztec chocolate cocoa bitters that already has the spice in it, but that's kind of what I was channeling. If you're following me, the cinnamon, the cocoa bitters, kind of a Mexican hot chocolate kind of thing. Oh, that's delicious. So the other cocktail I've thought of as I have the simple syrup already made that I was going to do, but then I had the idea to try the coffee. So I was just curious how this would go. So this is the whiskey that I'm using for this particular cocktail is the Rocktown Column Still Collection single barrel cask strength straight bourbon whiskey at 59.17%. There we go. And it's almost gone. I'm almost gone, man. I'm almost out of everything. But I go on vacation in a couple of days. It'll be all right. And I did that on purpose. I was stocking up on some stuff. I'm not a collector, nor will I ever take part in the secondary market because it is everything that is wrong with I would say just bourbon, but I mean, it affects craft beer and everything else as well. People on the secondary market are looking to take advantage of you. And I hate that aspect. I hate that idea. And it's wrong that people do that. But if folks are going to be stupid enough to pay $100 for a $25 bottle of whiskey, I guess, if the market wasn't there, they wouldn't do it, I suppose. Personally, I hope these folks get stuck with all the inventory they have. Fucking assholes. I do not purchase on the secondary market, nor will I ever. Like I said, everything that is wrong with bourbon. That's why we have these allocations. That's why all of a sudden Buffalo Trace is hard to find. Buffalo Trace is a good whiskey. It's solid, but it should never be allocated. It's not that good. It's a good average $25 to $30 whiskey, and that's what it is. It is a good middle to bottom shelf weeded whiskey, and that's what it is. There's nothing special about it. There's nothing wonderful about it. And I don't understand why folks are going out of their way to get it. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Then again, I mean, I'm kind of different. I'm a big fan of supporting small. Support these small distilleries. Rocktown out of Little Rock. The other whiskey I'm going to have with you is Union Horse out of Lenexa, Kansas. I'm a big proponent in supporting small. The same with craft beer. And it drives me crazy that the same folks that'll say that about craft beer, buy small, won't do it when it comes to wine or whiskey. That is really nice. Yeah, there may be some things I could do to tweak it up. This is kind of an experimental version I don't know if there's another garnish I'd want to use. I don't really want to add another ingredient because I want to keep it simple. The other possibility, maybe just if you want to add just a dash of cream. I'm just curious how that would go if I added just a drop of cream in there. But I've got to, for my thing tomorrow, I'm limited to the amount of ingredients I can use. And if I use cream, that might count for another ingredient. But let's find out since it's just us talking. Since since I happen to have some heavy whipping cream, I'm going to put just a drop in there. I don't want much. Just a drop. Oh, come on. Well, maybe a slightly bigger drop. There we go. Let's see what that does. I honestly don't know if it'll curdle. It may curdle because that's such a high proof whiskey. I don't know, but we're going to find out together. See if that makes a difference. And sláinte. Huh. I'm going to experiment with that one here. I'm going to finish this one up and go to my second cocktail. I'm going to think about that for a minute. It didn't curdle, but I don't know that it blended as well as I'd hoped either. So, for cocktail number two, the only thing I changed was the whiskey, the espresso with the melted demerit sugar. I added the cocoa bitters, the Angostura cocoa bitters. The only thing I changed is the whiskey. And there's a reason why I wanted to try it with this whiskey, even though I can't use it for my cocktail tomorrow because it has to be bourbon. But this is the Union Horse Rivalist American single malt whiskey at 96 proof. Now, what they tell you here, it's made from 100% malted barley, handcrafted from start to finish using the finest Midwest barley in a copper pot still. They tell you to look for flavors of tender notes of caramel, orange peel, and baking spice. They don't mention chocolate, but I really feel some chocolate notes from this, which is why I wanted to try it in this application with the espresso and the cocoa bitters. Oh, wow. Wow. Yeah, I got to tell you, it blends perfectly with this whiskey. That's amazing. I thought it would too. The flavors that this whiskey gives off, I thought would really work with that espresso. I don't think I'm going to try to drop the cream in it because I think I really like it as is. Wow, that is a perfect. Wow, that's a perfect cocktail. I'm going to send that recipe to them. If they're not doing it already, they need to. Yeah, this with that coffee, that little bit of sugar in the coffee. Oh my god, that's insane. So what I did, actually, I should have mentioned the I mentioned the ingredients, but I didn't mention proportions. 2 ounces. Both cocktails were made with 2 ounces of the whiskey, 1.5 ounces of the espresso with syrup. It's espresso with the melted sugar in it, if you will, and then the cocoa bitter. So if they want to write it separate, they could say 2 ounces of the whiskey, 1.5 ounces of the espresso, one sugar cube. I just prefer it melted. Some like to muddle the cube. I do not. I do not like a gritty drink, but I had that espresso hot, so I melted that sugar in there. at that time. And I will be honest, there are some out there that may want this cocktail slightly sweeter than I do. As you get older, I've found you get more sensitive to sugars. So yeah, I don't like things as sweet as it seems that my younger counterparts do. So somebody else may want this a tad sweeter. For me, it's perfect because I want to taste those coffee and cocoa notes. I don't want the sugar to swallow it up. And if you've got espresso, I mean, hell, man, I'm a poor guy. I don't have an espresso machine, but my wife bought this espresso powder a while back to make a tiramisu. So I had it, so I just made that instant. If you've got the real thing, hey, do your thing. This kind of worked for what I was trying to do today, though. Getting ready for my vacation. I've got about 3 days, and we'll be on the road. I'm looking forward to it because we're going somewhere we neither my wife or I has or have gone before. Um, so she's able to do the things she wants to do. I'm able to do the things I want to do. The truth is, it is our anniversary, but we've never been a joined at the hip couple. So we've got plans to do things together, but we don't do everything together. And it's worked for 30 years. So you can argue with my methodology, but you can't argue with the results, right? Well, Tom, that doesn't work. And everybody's different. I mean, I've known folks that are that joined at the hip couple, and it doesn't seem appealing to me. But if that again, I can argue the methodology, but I can't argue the result. If that works for them, that works for them. But yeah, we will celebrate our 30th anniversary. So I'm excited about that. And getting to do some things we've never done before, stay in places we've never stayed at. Actually, staying at a BrewDog hotel in Columbus, so I'm really excited about that. I'm not the hugest. Is that a word, Tom? I'm not the biggest fan of BrewDog. I'm not all that familiar with them. I've had some of their products, but not a hater of them either. So I am curious, but I haven't seen anything negative about that hotel. And every friend I've had several friends that have stayed there, and everybody says it's just incredible. The food's incredible, the rooms are incredible. So I'm very excited about that, especially since again it's our 30th anniversary. I'm really super excited. At this point, I'm like a kid just before Christmas, right? Oh man, I just want to go. I got one more. I'm off today and tomorrow, and then I've got one more shift on Thursday, and then I'm gone. Uh, yeah, I like this bourbon. I do the Rocktown bourbon, but I will tell you in this particular application for this particular cocktail, I like this whiskey with it better. So I'm going to make some changes for my show tomorrow. But that's why I like to experiment. I like to go full mad scientist. Um, so yeah, I do. I can't use this whiskey tomorrow because it has to be bourbon. But I do think this whiskey is brilliant in this capacity. This is a great. It'd be a great digestif. And again, I mean, I don't. Some others may want this a tad sweeter than I've got it. For me, it's right perfect. Right, I added just enough sugar in there to balance the bitterness. But yeah, I understand that some may want it a tad sweeter than I've got it, but for me it's perfect. So there you go. Anyway, anyways, I digress. I am Tom the Whiskey Whisperer, Whiskey Evangelist, prolific whiskey drinker, purveyor, wisdom man. All right, good guys, Sláinte. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it.